Slashing Cast.
What's up?
Yo.
How are you?
I'm dandy.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I woke up this morning, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do this today.
I don't either.
I've had a really long weekend.
Yeah, I bet you have. Yeah, mine was with the birthday and everything. I'm feeling a bit flugy today. Flugy.
Yeah. How was the little birthday gathering that I missed?
It was good. It was mellow. It wasn't crazy. I mean, it's not like I got shit faced or nothing. It's just been a busy. I've been running around going crazy for the last week or so doing birthday stuff and then cleaning and dealing with people. It's mostly dealing with people, you know. It can be taxing, as you know, but that's what you do for a living.
Dude.
So
yep.
You know, it was good. It was good, nice little shindig. Yeah, it's gonna be I was like, oh God, we have to do this today.
We're just getting the viewers pumped for our enthusiasm right now. I mean, I'm excited to talk to Tom. He's always fun, but it's not that I don't want to do this. It's the fact that I have so much going on right now. I was like, this was a bad idea to try to stick in the middle of everything I'm trying to do. But anyway,
we're here.
We're here.
We're doing it.
We're doing it for you guys. Yeah.
Moaning.
Yeah. Well, we got a little time before he gets on, so
yeah.
Let me see. I have some notes here. I just got back from the UK.
Woohoo!
Shot a bunch of new Horrors Hallowed Grounds episodes. Been editing like a madman. Hopefully, we'll get the second one out this week. I did the young ones, which was shocking to me how popular it was. I mean, last time I looked, it was up to like 44,000 views.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. I thought nobody would care, you know?
Yeah.
But
people care.
People like the young ones. People like it.
Yeah.
Dude, one thing that was, I was shocked about the UK. They have completely done away with plastic straws and utensils. I mean, completely. I didn't see any.
Wow.
And that kind of surprised me that they're that far ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And God, it sucks, man. The paper straws, they suck. The utensils, they're all wood. They're like, and you know, they taste terrible. It's like, remember when you were a kid and you'd eat a popsicle and you get to the stick and it's like, it's like the stick the whole time because it's made of the same shit.
Right.
It's. You know, what I don't get is how people can piss and moan, you know, about, we got to save the planet. We got to get rid of the straws. Yet they'll sell a giant plastic cup with a plastic lid.
Right.
But the straw's the problem. How about a paper cup and a paper lid with a plastic straw? So at least tastes good.
Right.
Anyway. Fuck it.
Boom. Get off my lawn right out of the gate.
Right out the gate, I'm throwing a get off my lawn. I needed it. And I needed to fucking to feel. Okay, I got a funny story from this weekend.
All right.
So I can't even remember the dude's name, but he played the killer in Urban Legend, the Urban Legend movie. He was a guest at the convention. I didn't know he was there. I was just at the Houston Horror Film Fest. It was actually really good. And it's my second year doing it. It was their third year. It's a great show. I definitely want to try to get you there next year. It was fun. But they have two kind of big ballrooms on each side of the hotel. And he was on the side I wasn't. So I didn't see the dude hardly the whole weekend. But I was in the elevator. I was wearing a Terror Train shirt, right? And he looks at my shirt, and there was other people in the elevator, and he goes, is that the original? And I said, it isn't that crappy remake. And he goes, I worked on that. And I go, the crappy remake? And he goes, no, the original. I was like, good. And everybody in the elevator laughed. Unfortunately, he said, no, the original. And then he goes, yeah, I got thrown off a train in that. I said, yeah, we shot that in Montreal. And I knew it was shot in Montreal. I knew that already. And I said, hey, do you know where that opening scene was shot? You know, where they had the bonfire? Because it's like the only real practical location. There was like the train station, the bonfire thing. The rest of the movie's on a train. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, I don't know. And he was getting off the elevator. And I said, well, I'll come talk to you later. So I go over there later and he sees me and he goes, oh, man, I'm so embarrassed. I go, what? And he goes, it wasn't Terror Train I worked on. It was some other movie that didn't, it was like Man on Fire or something. It was some like totally different name. I got thrown off a train in that movie. And I'm like, how do you fucking mix that up? I don't get it. But anyway, so I was going to pick his brain, but apparently
forget it.
He can't remember what he worked on. But real quick, what's going on with that? I see there was some scarecrow tree action.
Oh yeah, my shop's a mess. I apologize to everybody out there. I'm working on some Halloween business. That's my new scarecrow it goes way up there. The head's up there, obviously.
Oh, there's a head up there? Sweet.
There's a head up there that glows, and these pumpkins will be carved and they will glow.
Oh, cool.
And it's going to be draped with black weathered draping, more like a Tim Burton-esque kind of scarecrow got going on. So I'm building that for the front yard.
Yeah, going to go big in the front yard this year since you got some free time.
Going big. Might as well.
Yeah.
So been juggling, building Halloween stuff and concerts and birthday stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Got my giant birthday beard that I'm growing here. You see how big I can get that thing. That's my scarecrow.
Yeah, I know you and I talked about it already, but yeah, you went and saw Tears for Fears, and then you went and saw Danny Elfman like a few days later.
They were great shows, both of them great shows. Tears for Fears was at the Hollywood Bowl. They sounded amazing, whether you like them or not. They sound exactly like the record, like exactly. And just a beautiful show, great show, had great seats. And then a few days later went and saw Danny Elfman in Irvine, down in Irvine at that weird pop-up arena or
5 Points
theater, whatever it's called.
Right by my house.
Yeah. So went and saw that. That was a great show. Did a lot of his solo stuff off that album, kind of like a metal industrial kind of album. But in between those songs, he did movie themes and all the stuff he'd done for film and stuff, which was really cool. A lot of that was very emotional, so that was cool. And did a nice tribute to did a lot of Boingo, and he did a nice tribute to Paul Rubens, who we've lost since our last show.
Yeah, another topic. Yeah, that was a shocker, man.
It really was. It really, really was. I worked with Paul on The Tripper. That David Arquette wrote and directed, and we did that movie together. And he was the nicest man, and so friendly and so nice. And I got on his Christmas card list, so I would get a Christmas card from Paul Rubens every year. Once you're on his list, you get one. So it was super cool.
You save them?
That I did. I saved them all. So that was really sad and really shocking. And I had no idea he was sick. I had no idea.
Kind of like the Neil Peart thing, just kept it quiet. Yeah. And even Eddie Van Halen, there was rumors, but that was also a shocker too,
Yeah. So that was sad. Not to go there. But since we're there, we might as well go there. We lost William Friedkin.
Yeah.
Another person I worked with on a movie called The Hunted.
But didn't have the best experience with.
Didn't have the best experience with. I had an atypical William Friedkin experience that a lot of people have had. I'm proud to kind of wear that as a badge of honor. It's the only movie I ever quit in my career, which I think we've talked about before. But That was I still respected that guy and respected his movies and loved
Oh
him
yeah.
a lot, you know.
I mean, I met him a couple times, and he was a dick to me both times. I mean, he was just kind of, and you know, I mean, I was a fan. I'm a big fan,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was unnecessarily dickish.
Weird.
And I don't know if I know I told you the story, but I don't know if I've told the story before. But I was at a screening of the first time I met him at a screening of the Shaq film Blue Chips. And
Right.
he did a Q&A afterwards. Obviously, the only reason we went to the screening was because we knew William Friedkin was going to be there.
Yeah.
And never met him. So he did a Q&A. During the Q&A, I asked two questions. First question was, are we ever going to see a widescreen release of The Exorcist? Because at that point, they hadn't brought it out widescreen in any format. We're talking Laserdisc days. And he said, no, it wasn't shot widescreen. That was his answer, which we all know is bullshit. It was shot 185. Second question I asked was, are we ever going to see the spider walk footage? No, we never shot that. Which we found out is also a lie, and he ended up releasing it. You know, so I don't get it, don't understand. I mean, I heard that he would just do shit like that to maybe he thought it was funny to be, you know, but whatever.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. I don't know. But
rest in peace, Mo. He used to call everybody Mo.
So. And we also lost Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you know, I'm assuming was an overdose or suicide. Have they actually said?
I haven't heard anything.
I know she had all kinds of mental issues and
her son died not that long ago, committed suicide. And,
and you know, it sucks because I mean, obviously when someone passes like that, you start to revisit their catalog and everything. And I started going back and listening. I was like, holy shit, I forgot. I really was a fan at one point because I knew a lot of her songs. I guess I owned a couple albums back in the day. I don't know why I don't anymore, but I kind of want to rebuy them. She was great.
Yeah, she was great. There's a great documentary about her that's out. I can't remember the name of it, but it came out not that long ago. It's really good. Seek that out. Check it out. It's really good. It goes through her entire career.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So I do have a good get off my lawn from this weekend. All right. So I took notes. Saturday morning, Nay and I were grabbing some breakfast at the little breakfast cart at the hotel. Bought some stuff, got up to the register, and they were taking cash. They were.
Ooh.
And she goes, that'll be $20.03. So I handed her $21, thinking maybe she'll just give me the $1 back. Like, you know, that happens a lot. Don't assume it, but I just hand her the 21. She goes in, starts to get the change. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess she's going to give me my 97 cents back. She then hands me 3 quarters and goes, thank you, and shuts the drawer. I'm looking at it. I look at her and I go, shouldn't it be 97 cents? And she goes, oh, we don't have enough change. I go, so you think I should sacrifice 22 cents versus you sacrificing 3 cents? And she just goes, reaches in, grabs another quarter and gives it to me.
Oh, wow.
But it's like, shouldn't you at least say something? I mean, my change is 97 cents. The thing most people would do would be hand the $1 back and go, don't worry about the 3 pennies that she could have taken out of the tip jar that was sitting right there.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. I'm not cheap, but it's just the point. Fuck you. It's just the point. It's you know, you shouldn't assume shit. Just like maybe I should have just handed her 20 and just been like.
So let me ask you this: if she'd have reached into her thing and went, oh, you know what? I'm really sorry, we don't have enough change. Can I just give you the 75 cents? You'd have probably walked away fine with that.
No, I would have said no. I would have said, it seems like it would make more sense if you just gave me the $1 back. That's what, because 3 cents versus 22 cents.
Right.
Come on.
Right. I got you.
Anyway,
I'm
right?
with you.
That's
I'm with
bullshit.
you.
I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit. All right. Oh, by the way, I think I need to make an announcement.
Uh-oh.
Just put this baby to bed.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm finally, it's one of those things you have to. I guess it's like an alcoholic having to wean yourself off of alcohol or whatever. But I think I finally am completely satisfied and sold on ball cream.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I've gotten used to it. That it's because it's like a little cream, and you do, and then you put it on.
Yeah,
it turns
I know
into a
what
powder.
you do with it. I know what you do with it.
Let me show you where you put it.
No, it's all good.
Anyway, I don't know. I have finally.
You're regimented into it. It's part of your daily horse shit when you get ready every day.
Oh, it's funny.
It's like your deodorant, your Q-tip,
James Remar just told me the other day. He goes, "Oh, I got a gift for you," and I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I found an extra bottle of the old talcum baby powder, and I'm going to give it to you." Right. And I'm like, "No, I don't want to. I don't want to go back. I don't. I need to. I've made."
What is wrong with your testicles that you need to fucking put cream on it? Should you go to a doctor or something?
Do you not put anything? Do you not do anything down there?
I do not do anything.
Really?
I don't need to do anything.
You don't get the bat. You don't get bat wing. You don't get nothing.
No, I don't get any of that shit. I don't know what it is that you guys are doing. Are you not? Is your underwear not fit right? Are you? What are you doing? I don't understand what you're doing. That you need to have medication on your shit. Like I don't understand it.
Well, if you want to take a close look, see if you can see what's going on.
I'm good. I'm good, buddy. I'm good.
All right. Just trying to share.
TMI.
What about you? You got any good get off my lawns going right now?
I don't have
none.
Anything. Well, I mean, it's always the same shit, man. It's like
I've got more.
People going to concerts. It's people. Mine's just people.
Yeah.
You go to concerts and people don't know how to park and they don't know where they're going and they don't have their ticket ready and they don't, I mean, I'm sick of the not having a ticket, a paper ticket. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of the whole, I have to have a digital download of my thing that I have to have a special app for and then put it in my wallet in order for it to work. And then you can't find it and you can't download it because they said you already downloaded it, but you can't find it anywhere. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, can't I just have a paper ticket printed out and show it to you? It'd be so much easier. Like, I just don't get that at all. It's driving me crazy. So it keeps me from wanting to go to shows.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And start on time for crying out loud.
Yeah. Unless I'm running late.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I've got some here. All right. This is one that I'm sure we've all dealt with. We've all dealt with this, and it's there's nothing we can do about it, but it bothers everybody, I'm sure. So I'm just going to point it out and never touch on it again. When you take a cookie or a Pop-Tart and you dip it in your milk, right?
For those of you that do that.
I'm sure lots of people did. You ever dip Oreos in milk? I mean, come on,
I'm not a dipper, but
a dipper?
I get it.
I'm a dipper. So I like to dip a chocolate chip cookie, or I like to dip a Pop-Tart, a toasted Pop-Tart.
Okay.
And you put it in there just a little too long and it breaks off and and then it sinks.
Right.
Just makes me sad. And then it's gross by the time you get to the bottom of the milk and the sludge comes out, but you still eat it.
You still eat it?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to ask you if you still
got to eat it.
All right.
It's just a little too sludgy, but it still tastes good.
All right. It's more like a milkshake, like a Pop-Tart milkshake by that point.
A little bit. Okay, by the way, so, once a year I do that fair video. Nay and I go to the fair and we eat shitty food. And speaking of which, I say her name and she walks in the room. Where are you going, babe?
Hi, Nay.
Going hiking? Mm-hmm. Okay, you can leave it open now as long as the Roomba's off.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Whoa.
Hi, happy birthday.
Hi, thank you.
What I was going to get at is, and I told her about this too, is every time we put up one of these videos, it's like, I think it's done like they think it's a jab, or they think it's, I don't know what, but there's always a few. Oh, your daughter's pretty.
Nah.
It's like,
And they're trying to be funny.
They're trying to be funny. None of them,
Right.
you can tell none of them are, well, one person really tried. I hope I'm not out of line. I hope she's your daughter, kind of thing, or whatever. You know, it's like, no, come on, fuck off.
Right.
I mean, you see us
Very
together.
funny.
You really think this is a first off, she's like nothing like me, right? You know, oh yeah, this is my adopted daughter. Yeah.
That's really gross.
Yeah, but at the same, it's like,
that's a get off my lawn for me. People that think they're being funny and they're not funny at all. Like a good example, I posted a design recently that I did for the Unmasked Myers.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
The amount of dumbass comments I got from people just being mean and being just jerks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need your opinion. I didn't ask your opinion on the Halloween trilogy. I didn't ask your opinion on the look of this. I mean, I should turn my comments off. Stephanie always goes, just turn your comments off.
Nah.
But some people are nice. Like most people are nice. But then you get a big group of people that have to have their comments, you know, like, this movie fucking sucked. You suck. Everything sucks. It was a piece of shit. This looks like Jason. You know, that was a good one. I kept getting that. You know, so, keep your opinion to yourself. You know what? Your shitty opinion.
Yeah.
You got something nice to say, great. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I just kind of block and delete them. So
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work to block.
It's easy. It's really, I've gotten good at it. Click, bye. Like I did one yesterday. I posted a happy birthday thing to you, right, on Instagram. Yeah, somebody commented, does nothing about your birthday, just, hey man, something about you really got to charge so much for a freaking bus tour. You should just do it yourself and save the money. And it's like, first off, this has nothing to do with the bus tour. This is Chris's birthday. It's like, and it's sold out in like, the whole thing sold out in like a couple hours. So don't be bitter just because you can't afford it, douchebag. And number two, it's fucking luxury coach buses with bathrooms, super nice, air conditioned. It's a 8 to 9 hour tour. It's actually pretty reasonably priced. So I mean, if you want to take all day and drive around LA, drive your ass around LA and find the shit yourself, boom, have at it.
Don't vent on my birthday post. Don't vent about something non-related on my birthday post.
I mean, people have been freaking out about the Ozzy Osbourne announcement and the ticketing and the prices and everything. Yet they're selling like crazy, but there's a lot of people, mad about how it's being done. It's like, you know what? It is what it is. If you don't want it, you can live without it. Yeah. You know, it's not a necessity. Food, shelter, clothing, necessity. Meeting Ozzy Osbourne, not. So
don't do it.
Calm down. So I got a letter from a Michelle Trowbridge, who's a big fan, and she just wanted to say that she enjoys our podcast, and she's a big fan of Halloween and Child's Play, this ties into our episode today.
Awesome. Thank you,
That's
Michelle.
Literally all she said.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Michelle.
Sent
Very
a
nice
letter to say that, and thank you, Michelle. We appreciate you. And I'm going to send you some stickers and stuff because I'm that kind of guy.
Awesome.
I got a pretty cool little gift this weekend.
Did you?
So a guy named Jason Kreider brought me this little gift. He made his own little certificate of authenticity here.
Oh, look at that.
What it is, it's a piece of the actual road from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Huh.
I mean, it's
the road
with dirt and everything. It's got dirt in there and everything. Oh, and look at that Texas Tough, friggin',
Ziploc bag.
Yeah, but I kind of don't want to take it out because there's a lot of dirt rattling around in here, but I will just for you, Jason, since you were kind enough to bring it.
Look at that.
Apparently, it's a piece of the asphalt from the original chainsaw road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. What did you do?
You-
Take a
you know-
jackhammer to that fucking thing?
He must have. You know what's crazy is lately a lot of fans have been bringing me pieces of various
Set
things.
locations.
Yeah, I mean, I got, a dude gave, yeah, they're starting to pile up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool,
Yeah,
but at the same
yeah.
time, he could have taken this out of his front yard. I don't know.
That's true.
But I'm going to trust him that he's legit.
I'm going to start doing that. This is dirt from Star Wars.
Dude, there's people that are grabbing bricks from the Halloween 3 factory, and selling
really?
those online.
Oh my God. Jesus.
Well, because it's
it's because of you nerds.
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 But yeah, so there's that. Another dude sent me, I don't have, let's see, what was his name? He goes by Caskets. He sent me this print. His name is Jerome Caskets. Sent me this cool Twilight Zone print that he did.
Cool. Ah.
He knows I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. Almost looks like that could be me watching right there.
That's right.
The hair, a little
Nice.
spike here in the front. Did you
That's
just
you.
yawn while I'm showing you stuff?
I did.
Uncool. You got quite a cool gift.
Oh, I did.
You did.
I'm excited to find out.
Wait till I bring this to your house.
Is it dirt from?
It is ball cream. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. So this said, I started to learn the art of sculpting, molding, and painting about 3 years ago.
Oh.
About the same time you started your podcast. As a collector first, I'm just now getting to the point where I am not completely embarrassed of the stuff I make. Anyway, I spend a lot of time watching your podcast while sculpting and thought I would send you a carry. Most of the stuff I learn is by watching YouTube, so I don't think I'm the first to make this bust, but it was a fun character either way. Thanks for the amazing content and look forward to seeing many more episodes. Congrats on the 3-year podcast anniversary. And he put, the eyes are adjustable just in case they shift in shipping. Jason Chandler. Now,
Jason Chandler.
I read this note before I took it out to look at it.
Right.
Now I'm going to say, oh, wow, I got some fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre dirt on my keyboard. Great.
Oh, yeah. Better put that in a bag.
Yeah. Does anybody want some flakes from the... Jesus. All right. So anyway, I was dreading pulling this thing out because a bust of Sissy Spacek as Carrie for a beginner is a pretty ambitious. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised.
All right.
Is it dead on? No.
Right.
But for a guy that's been sculpting 3 years, I'm impressed. But let me go get it.
All right.
It's in the garage. Hold on.
I'm excited. I can't wait. So excited. Thank you, Jason. Before I see it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready for the reveal. Hold on.
I'm so ready. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I've seen this on Instagram.
No,
it's pretty good.
That's a different guy.
Oh, it's a different guy?
The guy you're talking about is the guy that did my Barlow.
Oh, okay.
But
wow, that's really good.
I think he did a great job, especially for, the likeness is slightly off.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, way better than I could ever do. That's for damn sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm super impressed. Wow. Only 3 years making stuff. Good job, buddy. Good job. Jason, right?
Jason Chandler. Here's his, for anybody interested in checking his stuff out. Reanimated design, or reanimated resin at reanimated resin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. I think it's super cool. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Woo.
Woohoo! Wow, great job, dude. Keep up the good work. Keep going. Keep going.
And I think might have one more. Dear Chris and Sean, been a fan of the show since the beginning. There are times I want to get a question in, but I'm always nervous. I'm currently working on it. You guys, along with Joe Bob Briggs and Darcy the Mail Girl, have been a big reason for me to keep going through life, even when I didn't want to continue.
Wow.
Growing up in a house where your parents are religious doesn't always go well with my love of horror. So all four of you are a big reason why I'm still here. I will never be able to repay you guys for that, but I hope this is a start. It would be great to have Joe Bob and Darcy as guests on the show. You guys can honestly have a whole episode of Get Off My Lawns, and I would pay to see that. Chris, your kills mask has surpassed the original Myers mask for me and became my absolute favorite. It's such a mean looking mask. One of my favorite quotes from Chris is, "I can't hear you because I don't have my ear movies in." Okay.
I don't remember saying that, but okay.
I'm sure you said that to be a dick to me. That made me laugh hysterically, and what made it better was Sean's face while Chris was getting ready. Haha. Oh, that was one of the beginning of one of the show. I'm talking and you hadn't put your.
Yeah. Oh.
If you put that quote on a shirt, I would buy it in a heartbeat. I met you both at Flashback Weekend, but in different years. Sean kept escaping Chris's table when I met Chris back in 2021. I finally met Sean the following year. You both were highlights for me. I'm hoping Chris gets announced for this year's show, as he's not announced as I'm typing this letter. Well, it just happened, so yeah. But we're talking about bringing him next year already, so I would really love to do a photo op of the both of you doing one of Chris's funny faces. I like the ones I posted on Instagram yesterday.
Right.
Sean, I hope I get a chance to say hi. I know you'll be busy, so I won't go past that. Haha. I'll be repping my Thing with Two Heads shirt on one of the 3 days during Flashback Weekend. Maybe I saw him that weekend, and I didn't put two and two together. Sean gained a new level of respect for me. The amount of work and shit you go through to help cons happen is something I've never thought of, and I'm glad you shared that insight with all of us. I hope you and Chris enjoy these flannels. Oh, he's the guy that gave us the flannels.
Okay.
I did see him at the show. I talked to him, and he's super cool guy. I can envision his face now that I know who this is from. I had this sitting here for a while. I hadn't reread it before the show.
Okay.
From Middle of Beyond on Instagram. Chris, I got you the Creep Show flannel, and Sean, I got you the Hotel Shining flannel. I'm hoping they fit, and if they don't, I apologize. I'll do my best to make it right. Mine fit perfect. I told him that when I met him. Have you put yours on yet?
I haven't tried mine on yet.
It has been rather hot. It's not flannel weather.
It's not flannel weather. It's about 90 degrees, but thank you.
Hopefully I'll be rocking mine in December.
That's right.
Again, thank you both for everything you've done for this community and everything you'll do in the future. You guys mean a lot to me, more than you'll ever know. Thank you, or sincerely, Cesar Hernandez. So,
wow.
Anyway, I know it was a long-winded letter, but I remember reading it, being very touched by it, and I wanted to share it with everybody. And we appreciate you guys so much. I mean,
we do.
All the people that come up to me at the shows, even though I say I get overwhelmed at times, I appreciate all of it. I mean, it's the fact that you guys will sit here and spend 2 hours to watch us just babble.
Amazing.
Does blow my mind. And
thank you, Cesar. Thank you so much. That was very sweet. Thank you for the shirt. I did get it. I can't wait to wear it when it gets cooler. And hang in there, man. I know things can get rough sometimes with the crazy world that's out there. I know you can get flugy, but don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to you. You're better than that. You're better than that. You're better than the Gap. You're better than that. And just do your thing, man. Hang in there. You like horror, You like our show, like our show. Like whatever the hell you want. and hang in there, man. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat together, man. We're all doing the same fucking thing, just trying to get by. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. That was really sweet.
I mean, I'm still fighting against paper straws, but I'm still here.
Yep.
You know?
Still wants to pay cash for everything. He's still here. He's still doing it. He's still putting cream on his fucking testicles. He's still here.
That's right.
He's still here.
I did it during one of our breaks.
That's right. I'm so excited that I can't unhear that. That's awesome.
Oh, well, I think we got to bring in our guest now.
Oh boy.
I'm reaching out to him right now. He'll see when he jumps on here. See if I got anything else before. Something tells me he's not going to jump on as quick as everybody else. Oh, hold up. What happened here? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Hold on. Nope, that isn't him. What else do I got?
What else do you got?
Okay, here's a get off my lawn. When you see a news article on social media and you click on it, it takes you to the news article, it shows it to you for a couple seconds, and then blocks it and hits you up to pay a subscription.
Yeah.
Enough of that shit. Nobody's going to buy your goddamn subscription. All you did was just piss us off.
And now I'm never going to click on you again.
Yeah. And it's never like the New York Times or whatever making the post. It's always somebody posting it. It's like, don't bother posting that shit, man. If we can't see it, we ain't going to fucking join their thing. Good God. Okay, here's another one. All this shoplifting that's going on, this crazy shit is getting out of control right now.
I was unaware that is happening.
Are you living
shoplifting? Dude, people shoplifting? That's a thing still?
No, dude, it's gotten out of control. There's mobs of people running into stores, grabbing everything and running out. It's happening. What? Look at the news, dude. It's happening all over. It just happened at West Hills Mall, or Westgate Mall. All right. So yeah, no, it's getting crazy. Like they're coming full wearing they wear ski masks and they just run in. You haven't seen this? It's been happening all over. Oh my God. Like happening to little stores everywhere. It's getting crazy. And it's gotten to
Is this a nationwide thing or
nationwide?
A California thing?
Nationwide. I went to my grocery store last night and they had an area barricaded where you used to be able to just walk in. I'm like, what the fuck? And I asked the manager last night, I said, are you guys having problems with shoplifting and stuff? He goes, dude, it's out of control. He goes, people will just walk in like normal, walk in, fill up bags and just walk out. Wow. And nobody wants to try to stop them because then they get sued if they assault them or, it's like an insane thing that's happening right now. And it's getting so bad, man. They need to you know what? You want to end this shit? Start fucking taking these guys and hacking a fucking finger off every time they get busted for shoplifting. Watch how quickly that shit ends. Seriously.
Yeah.
So Tom Holland's here. Let's do it.
All right. The Tom Holland is here. Very exciting. Bopping in.
Living the dream. Oops. There he is.
Yeah. We made it. Amazing. I've also been working my butt off because I'm putting together a book on the creation of Psycho 2. And what happened was, and this is interesting to me anyway, I got from Australia through a very good documentary maker named Mark Hartley down there. I was told that Richard Franklin wrote his memoirs like an autobiography as he was dying of prostate cancer. And both he and his widow and his wife were friends of both my wife and I. And whenever they came through LA, they'd stop and we'd talk. And I didn't know he'd written about his experiences. And the best chunk of the memoirs, I thought, was on Psycho 2. And all of a sudden, like 40 years later, because Psycho 2 exploded this summer on its 40th anniversary, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, it's really been rediscovered. And I didn't realize the depth or the intelligence of the fans. And apparently they mentioned it in Scream 7. You know, what's the greatest horror sequel ever done that nobody knows about? And the other guy said Psycho 2. So anyway, so I'm reading Richard's memories that he wrote as he was passing, which is really like, oh my gosh. And it brought back everything that I experienced 40 years ago in the writing of that, in the creation. And then I thought, well, there are a lot of people who would love this. This isn't, the Psycho 2 is not like it's not like this. You know, I mean, this was a killer doll movie like never done before, and of course it's set up a whole genre now. But Psycho 2 was a serious movie for me, and it certainly was for Richard Franklin. And if you want to see how talented he was, or he was, go look at Road Games, which he did just before we went to work on Psycho 2. And by the grace of God, he chose me to write it. And I can't tell you I was in the greatest economic position in the world. I think I was like 37 or 38 years old. But I finally, after years, got my first movie produced by United Artists, The Beast Within. And it was the last movie that United Artists released, as it was buried in the wreckage of the Michael Cimino movie. You know, the one that bankrupted the company.
Heaven's Gate?
Huh?
Was it Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate. Yes, Heaven's Gate. So then I sat for like a year unemployed. You know, I because nobody knew about it. It made money, by the way. Beast Within.
I loved Beast Within. I saw it at the Highway 39 drive-in on Beach Boulevard. My parents took me.
Me too.
Freaked me out.
Well, it's a terrific script, but like, if I say so myself, but I mean, like so much of what I was doing then, it started with Initiation of Sarah, a TV movie, but I was doing body transformations before they could do them. You know, so I mean, like if somebody now remade The Beast Within, I think it would be absolutely phenomenal, because it was built on the boy turning into the beast. You know, at the end of the movie, but they technically didn't have it was only air bladders at the time. Which
I'm trying to remember who did that. Was that Craig Reardon?
Tom Berman.
Oh, Tom Berman.
Tom Berman.
Yeah.
Tom Berman.
Yeah.
I thought did a terrific job when I saw his his models, but then Philippe, the director, Philippe Moreau. I can't remember right now. He slathered the beast in blood, so you couldn't see all the detail work that Tom Berman did. And you know, I mean, if this is such a business anyway, because nobody knew that it made money, which is usually the way they rate things in Hollywood. I didn't have a job, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, I got asked in for a meeting because Richard had fallen in love with one of my specs. Richard Franklin had fallen in love with a spec script called Crystal Tower, which has never been made, but I got very close with Carolco. Anyway, I went, nobody wanted to do it. No director wanted to do it, and no writer wanted to do it, because everybody who was established figured it was a career ender. You know, I mean, having the temerity. Pardon me?
Psycho 2? Or
Psycho 2, yeah, because it was having the temerity to do a sequel to what was then considered a classic, which was Psycho. Psycho was a classic to me too, because that was that was the first slasher movie. Okay, Hitchcock, this little huge bulbous man, he did this brilliant, terrifying movie, which changed the horror genre. And you have to be of a certain age, you know, like to realize this. And I badly needed the job, and Richard needed the job too, but he was a mad Hitchcock fan from the time he'd been at USC. So anyway, I'm reading his memories of it, and it brought back my memories. And I said to myself, well, wouldn't it be fascinating if 40 years later you had the director's memory of the creation of Psycho 2 and the writer, which are obviously, yes, they'll be in accord in a lot of ways, but also very different in a lot of ways. And then I got then Andrew London, the editor of Psycho 2. He and I are the only two left that I know of that were deeply involved with the movie. I thought it'd just be great to put it down in some kind of narrative form, and I had all these photos. And then through Andrew London, I got hold of Richard's production script, which was all that Andrew London had kept all these years, but he had kept it. And that included storyboards and schedules and call sheets. And I mean, so I've been putting that together. And then I got to, I mean, I've been working on it for like 3 months. You know, if you're trying to do a good job, it really isn't easy. This isn't just a picture book and some, quick way about the making of it. It's trying to really plummet the issues that we were dealing with, because we didn't have, it started out as a cable movie, and we didn't have Tony Perkins. And without Tony Perkins, there was no chance of a theatrical release. So I had to write a script that was so appealing to the actor that he would commit to do it. And this is after he had turned it down several times. And so I'm writing that experience. And then I got hold of I needed an afterword. And I kept thinking, well, who would know? And then I thought about Anthony. I thought about the Bates Motel. So I have the producer and writer, or part writer of that, Anthony. Oh God, I'm sorry. It's an Italian last name. Anyway, he knows as much about Psycho 2 as I do, and Psycho and all of that, because he produced 50 episodes of the Bates Motel.
Right. Oh, wow.
And he's writing that right now. And I just got the widow yesterday, read it, and she gave me the go-ahead. She was happy with what I had done, because a lot of this is about preserving Richard's memory. He passed in 2007, and I don't think very, very few people remember him except me and Tarantino. Tarantino, thought that Road Games was like, the best Aussie movie ever. And I ran that again just like the last week or so, and I hadn't looked at that in 40 years. And damn, it's terrific. The ending I thought was a little weak, like the last 2 or 3 minutes. It could have used more of a bang, but that's me. But otherwise, you look at the way he shot it, and the camera moves and the reveals, and how he was ratcheting up tension. And Stacy Keach is terrific also. So anyway, so it's been 3 months anyway of a rediscovery of a career-changing event in my life from 40 years ago, because the success of Psycho 2 opened up a whole new world to me and gave me the opportunity to direct. And all of a sudden I was working and really making some money for a change, which is, I don't know. If you get to 40 and you're not making any money, it gets a little scary, and you start wondering about your career choices, And that was so work. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. Hi, Tom. My name's Chris. I'm not sure if we've met before, but it's wonderful to have you on the show, and I'm so glad that you just went into Psycho 2, because that's one of my biggest. I mean, just to stay on that subject, one of my favorite movies, and I agree, one of the most underrated films, just period, let alone sequels. And I think, oddly enough, it was funny when I first saw it, when it first came out, I was so excited and I loved it. I loved it, and had so many questions back in that day. But then years later, I was actually at a Quentin Tarantino film festival. He used to have his own film festival in Austin, Texas, at the Alamo Draft House. And I went one year and we were sitting together and I asked him, what are we watching tonight? And Psycho 2 was one of them. And it was one of his favorite movies. And he was so excited to revisit it. And we watched it, Quentin and I, and of course, a big group of people. And boy, did it go over so well. And we loved it so much. And we talked at nausea about how great the movie is. And he's a huge fan of it. I'm a huge fan of it. And I could talk about Psycho 2 all damn night.
So. Well, Chris, thank you, and I love the room you're sitting in.
Thanks. It's my little shop. Yeah, thank you.
It doesn't look that little.
It is little.
Psycho 2. Everybody told us the critics were going to savage us for having the temerity to do it, and that it would be a career ender, and. So it was a huge challenge that went beyond usually what you go through, and then, my gosh, it worked,
Yeah.
I mean, at the previews, and all of a sudden, Bob Ramey, who was then head of the studio, we were at a preview in Century City at the theater there. I think it was an ABC theater. I forget. Huge with balcony and everything. And the results were terrific and the audience loved it. And he turned to me and said, okay, what's the first film you're going to direct? And this was after not being able to get a job for a year.
Right.
So I mean, that was the beginning of Psycho 2 opened up the world to me, and then I thought, Chris, it was forgotten. It was the biggest movie that Universal had that year, and they made it for something. We made it for a few dollars under $5 million.
Wow!
Everything was on the back lot except for one shot, which was in the graveyard, and it made something, I forget, before it was through, it made something like 90 million worldwide.
Wow.
And the reviews were shockingly good because everybody was blown away because they expected it to be god awful. And it was the second biggest movie in the summer of 1982 after the first Star Wars sequel. Okay, that's how big it was. Wow. And then it seemed like people forgot it. I didn't think about it. The 80, 90, it was only maybe into the 2000s, 2010 or something before I started to realize that there was fans out there of Psycho 2. And then it seems now like the last 10 years or so, Chris, and Sean too, it's growing.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm hoping there's an audience for the book when we get ready to get it out.
Oh God, there will be. That's for sure.
We've been serious about it, Chris. This isn't like of just a photo book of pictures.
Right.
Yeah, this is the people involved talking. It's been very moving too.
I can't wait to read it. I can't, and I was always curious of how a writer would approach sequelizing Psycho. I mean, how do you even, I know you have to do it as a fan, first and foremost, you go into it going, well, I'm such a huge fan and I want to respect the original. I'm sure that's what you did, and to a certain point, but where do you even start as a writer to go, all right, I'm going to sequelize one of the most iconic classic films in cinema history?
Well, I'll give credit where credit is due. Robert Bloch, who wrote the first novel, Psycho 1, had written the novel Psycho 2, which he had the rights to do that, but he didn't have any movie or TV rights or anything. Universal held all that from doing the first one. And he had a brilliant idea bringing Norman back after 22 years. So that, and Richard loved that idea, and I loved that too. It gave me it meant that I could get to Tony Perkins and have the age, the 22 years that had elapsed would explain why he looked older.
Right.
And I knew that I had to get Tony to get to play Norman.
Right.
So that helped that. But then Block turned around, and I think in his Psycho 2 book, he killed Norman Bates like in page 10 or page 20 or something. And so Universal absolutely hated it, and we weren't too thrilled with it either. Universal would not let us read it for fear of getting sued by Robert Bloch. But anyway, so we had 22 years later, and I think Richard had the idea that Tony was coming out of the institution hypothetically cured. And one of the things that had made Psycho, the original, so compelling and so frightening was that you identified with an insane serial murderer because you felt sorry for him, because you understood somehow, even though there was no explanation, you knew his mother had driven him to that.
Right.
And so that gave me an end to a story that I could create. And I needed a very, very strong character arc to get Tony to say yes, because Tony had a very ambivalent relationship with Norman. You know, he'd been a young, almost romantic lead until he did Psycho. He had no idea what was that, and he felt like it had ruined his career in a sense, because it pigeonholed him. You know, it's that old saying in Hollywood: "Be careful what you first succeed at, because they'll never let you do anything else."
Yeah, he was too good at it. He was too good in that role.
Well, oh gosh, was he good?
Yeah,
I could go on and on about him. He was probably one of the most intelligent and certainly best educated in film actors that I'd ever known. He played trivia with Stephen Sondheim, if you can imagine that. That's how that film they did together, The Something of Sheila, about on the boat. Stephen and Tony wrote that, but that was their playing trivia that brought that up. And it was just a fascinating. I forgot. I knew all of this, but I had forgotten all of it, and I've been reliving it again for the last several months.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to relive a little more, because we have some fan questions, and quite a few of them are Psycho 2 related.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about, we got to talk about Fright Night too, because Fright Night is another movie that is.
There's a lot of Fright Night questions.
Considered an iconic classic that
Chris
slowly grew. But anyway, sorry.
Chris, Sean, I have to tell you, this is a wonderful time in my life. This is totally unexpected by me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're through. And when I came into the business, you were just hitting your stride at 50. Now you're done at 50 in the business, you know? And so all of a sudden here I am, and I don't want to tell you, I just had a big birthday on July 11th. And part of me doesn't want to tell you how old I am, but then everybody knows I turned 80 on July 11th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad that I made it this far. Well, because so many people haven't. I've lost so many contemporaries and friends, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Toby Hooper was a good friend.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to him 4 or 5 days before, and then he was watching AMC and apparently had a massive heart attack and never woke up. But at least he was going out with classic movies, you know. and then George Romero, I knew from a preview of Fright Night at the Sitges Film Festival where they celebrated it. And that's where I met him. And that's probably like 1985, 84, 85. And then Wes Craven, I went in for a meeting with Wes on doing Freddy, whatever it is, 2 or 3, I forget. And I can't remember why it didn't work out. I have a feeling why it didn't work out. Everybody around me was telling me that I couldn't do horror again after the success of Fright Night because I would be typed. Nobody said to me, "Hey, what do you love?" oh, go do that. That's sort of what happened. But I mean, I had all this pressure from all these people, agents and people who were in the academy and everything to do something out of the genre. So of course I did Fatal Beauty with Whoopi Goldberg, which nobody ever asked me about. you know.
Well, let's start with one here. Let's start with. Oh, by the way, since we're on that subject, there, did you know? Were you friends at all with Friedkin, who just passed?
No, but I spent my freshman year at Northwestern University in the theater school with a young girl called Sherry Lansing.
Mm.
So I've
His
known
wife,
Sherry
yeah.
since I was 18 or 19.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
then, but I tell you, when she got married to Billy, she sort of went away. I don't know.
Well, let's see. We're gonna start. Let's start with the Psycho 2
Oh,
question.
I worked with Bill Butler on Child's Play.
Mhm.
And Bill Butler started out in Chicago at a television station with
Friedkin.
Friedkin. Yeah.
Mm.
And Bill died at 3 days shy of 101, and Friedkin died at 87.
Yeah.
So think about that. And Bill was wondering at 99. He was wondering why he wasn't working.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, first question. This is from Behind the Screen 26. They have these weird screen names, so don't know their real names sometimes. Do you have any memorable moments from working with Tony Perkins on Psycho 2?
Yes. Yes. Back then we played a trivia game. You'd name a movie, I'd name a star. Then the other guy would name a movie that star was in. And that way, so Tony and I were doing that in between takes. And he finally said, "This is getting boring. Let's do it, but let's extend it to cinematographers, production designers, and cameramen."
Wow.
I went like, but that was how deep his knowledge was of film, and I was really impressed. He was a brilliant actor. He was influenced by the European films. He had a kind of a snobbishness about film that you only get in New York City by going to revival houses. So he was not strong narratively, but he was strong in the emotional life of the character, meaning Norman. And in discussions with him, I wrote the grilled cheese scene with him and Meg Tilly in Psycho 2, because Norman wanted to have that moment of vulnerability and love between the two of them, because so much of that script depended on Meg Tilly was cast because she was young and innocent, and Richard and I both believed that Tony would take her into the Psycho house, never suspecting anything untoward about her at all. And that turned into a love affair, in the sense that he was falling in love with her. I don't mean sexually at all. I just mean caring about her. And she, who of course was Lila Loomis, Janet Leigh's sister, Vera Miles, was of course her mother, which we didn't know at the time as the viewers of the film. And so she started to care for Norman too, and started to feel guilty about what she and her mother were doing, which was trying to drive him insane. And the character arc, which I give myself credit for, he comes out of the institution desperately trying to hold on to his sanity, which he has regained at least partially, or a lot of. And then, of course, you have the vengeful sister of the woman he murdered, Janet Leigh, trying to drive him insane again. So Tony's character arc is trying to hold on to his sanity as all these pressures very slowly drive him totally insane again.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the movie, when he uses that shovel and kills his real biological mother, he is totally mad, and it's the first killing that Norman Bates does in the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hell of a character arc for him to play. And that seduced him into saying yes. He knew he could play it, Chris and Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't look at a grilled cheese sandwich on a menu or period without thinking of Psycho 2, just so you know. And you called it a toasted cheese sandwich, by the way.
Did I call it toasted cheese?
Toasted cheese sandwich.
That was because Richard said toasted, not grilled, because in Australia they call them toasted cheese sandwiches.
Yeah.
That's how.
Let's see. Breaking Bish 3819 said, "What film did you enjoy filming the most, and which was the most difficult?"
Well, I had a wonderful time with Fright Night, and I think it's all over the screen. You can tell.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
I had huge support from the studio, from Guy McElwain, who headed the studio, and Jerry Barowitz was my line producer, no longer with us, but absolutely wonderful. And I'm forgetting the head of production at the time, but what happened was I inherited the entire Ghostbusters effects crew, the best in Hollywood,
Boss
the best
Films.
in Hollywood.
Yeah,
And that was because they'd done Ghostbusters, and Columbia wanted to keep them on board for the sequel, which they expected to do very quickly and didn't come around for 20 years after that. But so I had the best in the business. I had Steve Johnson, I had Randy Cook, I had Richard Edlund doing the visuals. It was really incredible. And I had written it, but I had no idea how to do that, how to get that on screen. But what I did know was I knew how to work with actors. And we rehearsed that for 2 weeks solid. And those actors, because nobody was a star except for Chris, I guess, demanded money, making it prohibitively expensive, which is what happens now so much. So you very, very seldom get a chance to rehearse with actors. But we rehearsed the hell out of Fright Night. And every actor knew what he was doing, knew their blocking, and they knew where the laughs were too, because I was mixing comedy, which hadn't been done successfully. I got Love at First Bite was before Fright Night, but it was farce, and farce usually means the exhaustion of a genre. I hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I had a couple people asked different versions of this question, that I'll deal with this one. TCE Author said, "Question for Tom: are you at all a fan of Fright Night 2 or no? And how did you feel about it? And were you ever involved at any point with directing it?"
No, I was working on something else. Columbia was going to do the sequel, and then they got a very pretentious English producer, and they Ray Stark forced Guy McElwain out. I don't know why, or with the politics, and they brought in this guy from England, who was the one who decided for decades what director worked in England. And Ridley Scott talks about him. It's a well-known name, but I can't remember now. But he was very pretentious, unless it wasn't something like the film Vangelis's film where they're all running, the English, unless it wasn't a possible Academy Award nominee. He didn't want to do it, and he looked down on horror.
No, Chariots of Fire? Is that what you're talking?
Yes, Chariots of Fire. Whoever produced that, this was the guy. So he took away the chance to do Fright Night 2 at Columbia, and so I went off and took another job, and then Herb, the producer, I'll think of it in a minute, got the money through Gabe Casca. Gabe Casca was also the money man behind The Beast Within. And they got Tommy Lee Wallace. And I've always liked Tommy and respected Tommy. And Tommy and I met, and he told me what he was thinking of. And I said, go and God bless. And they started to do it. And halfway or 3/4 of the way through, Gabe Casca died. And with his passing, the money went. Herb Jaffe Herb Jaffe, who produced Fright Night 1 and also Fright Night 2. And Herb didn't have the contacts for independent money that Gabe Katzka had. So what happened, and I don't think I've ever discussed this with Tommy, but I did with Roddy McDowell, who knew more about the business than any of us will ever know or forget or anything else. And Roddy said that they ran out of money in the third act, in the close, and so they didn't. They burned up the wonderful female vampire who's lovely, and she and her husband are friends.
Julie Carmen.
Yeah, Julie Carmen, and they burned her up, and it burned too fast. Something was wrong with the timing of it. So they didn't get the flail. It didn't have the visual impact it should have. They didn't have the money for a second take and to recreate the burning. And that's what was going on at the end. So you can feel, I can anyway, I can feel the film production-wise diminishing as it gets towards the end, but it certainly had nothing to do with Tommy or with the actors. It's just independent filmmaking in Hollywood circa 1986 or 7 or 8 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. And what's your thoughts on the film? Do you enjoy what he did, or you know?
I enjoyed what he did about 3/4 of the way through, and then I if you'd had some money, I would have done more and different visual effects, and I'm sure Tommy would have too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Daniel Caruso would like to know, let's see, he had read that you originally wrote the part of Peter Vincent in Fright Night for Vincent Price. Is that true?
That is true.
Did you ever try to get him?
Yes, I reached out through Jackie, Jackie Birch, our wonderful casting director, and he was not well. And then after the film was over, Roddy had me over for dinner at his house, and he invited Vincent Price and his wife Coral Brown, and I got to spend the evening with them. And
wow.
Yeah, Chris, I was such an idiot in those days. I should have brought an autograph book with me everywhere, and I didn't. I didn't think.
But you have that experience, though. You had dinner with Vincent Price.
I had dinner with Vincent Price and his wife, Coral Brown.
It's all in your head. That's all. The only place you need it is in your head.
But so anyway, I want to talk to Vincent about all the AIP movies. That he, House of Usher, that kind of thing, Pit and the Pendulum. And all he wants to talk about is food. He was a gourmet.
Yeah.
And he was a lover of art, but mainly he was writing his cookbook at that time.
I have those cookbooks.
You do?
I have some of his cooking albums. He made cooking records where he narrates them. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, so I was like, I never got out of him what I wanted to get out of him, but he certainly amused me. But all I could do was just because I had grown up with him. I'd grown up with him and Christopher Lee. Well, it's where the name Peter Vincent comes from. Yeah. Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. I mean, the Fright Night is my love letter to horror fans everywhere, especially if you remember the 50s, 60s, and into the 70s. And I wrote that with a huge amount of affection, and it was an intrinsically funny idea. That the horror fan next door becomes convinced that his next door neighbor is a vampire. And so I was writing it, and I was breaking up with laughter in a lot of the scenes. And that went into it and communicated in the script.
Hey,
it shows that movie. It shows there's so much love in that movie, and you're right. It does. It's all on screen. Look at your dog. What's the dog's name?
This one?
Yes.
Oh, Finian. Finian Holland. Finian is Irish for friend. Gaelic.
Nice.
Me and my shadows 222 said, what was the it factor for casting Chris Sarandon as Jerry?
Well, I was very aware of his work. The Academy Award nomination, I think, for the movie he did with
Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris is a serious actor. I mean, a heavyweight actor. And when I met with him, there was something very calming about his personality, which is why I've worked with him as much as I could. Child's Play and a TV movie called The Stranger Within with Rick Schroeder and Kate Jackson, which is excellent, by the way, but nobody ever remembers TV. And he was just wonderful to work with in the same way that Roddy was, except that they're very, very different. But Roddy was somebody who also took over sort of a paterfamilias. He became the father to the cast, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And led everybody in the same direction. Chris just kept building Jerry Dandridge and making him better and better. And he was just a fabulous actor. Roddy came in and Roddy was already Peter Vincent.
Yeah.
He said, I know who Peter Vincent is. He's the Cowardly Lion. You know? And so he knew how to get the laughs. I've been so lucky. The last day or 2 days before the closing of MGM, which is now Sony down in Culver City, Roddy took me through the lot, just me, walking me through, because he'd been there as a boy in like at 20th too, but as the theater school there, and he could tell me who was in what dressing rooms, what movies had been shot on what stages, where Katharine Hepburn had met Spencer Tracy outside the Thalberg. I mean, it was incredible Hollywood lore. And once again, I should have had a tape recorder, and I didn't. And then we walked into the library that MGM had for filmmakers who wanted to get the costumes right for an era, or who wanted production designers who wanted to get a street right, or whatever they were creating in the back lot. And the librarian was crying. He was in tears because Sony was throwing everything out.
Wow.
40, 50, 60 years of a collection of art books and publicity stills going back. And I should have grabbed everything I could have, and I was too young and dumb to know. But that's where Debbie Reynolds got all the costumes from.
Wow.
I'm surprised all that stuff didn't go to the Academy of Motion Pictures.
I don't think they cared enough.
Wow.
Or the Academy couldn't take them. I mean, I've heard varying things about the Academy. Yes, they're a repository of the history, but also once you give things to the Academy, they disappear into the bowels of the building, and you never see them being displayed again. I don't know. That I don't know. It was heartbreaking, Chris.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Well, Roddy took me down into the tunnels underneath the entirety of I'm sure they're still there, and they were full of nitrate prints, which, as you know, burn like that, like an explosion. Yeah. But they all these, I don't know what happened to any of that stuff.
Those are the same. I was going to say, I think those are the same tunnels that the whole, the stories of the Munchkins from Wizard of Oz used to go from the tunnels from the hotel to the studio.
Yeah.
I think those are the same tunnels. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's a shame that a lot of people, I mean, I've been doing this 34 years now, and it's always amazing to me how you go to these lots and all the different lots, all Warner Brothers, Universal, Sony now, how much is lost, and how many people don't have someone like Roddy who loved film so much, even though he worked in it and knows so much about it. That's rare these days to work with people that have that amount of knowledge, that just love it so much and know so much about it, and all that information just gone. Someone, you need to write a book about it.
Well, okay, psycho too. It's all ephemeral. I mean, I've been doing. I was under contract, a 7-year contract to Warner Brothers when I was 19. It was I got the contract after my freshman year at Northwestern during that summer, And when I went out to Warner Brothers, then this would be 1963. It was the year that JFK was assassinated, and the set to Camelot was still standing outside. It was like a castle with the ramparts.
Yeah.
They still, on the largest soundstage they had there when I was there, the set was still standing on the Ascot race, My Fair Lady. I mean, it was a phenomenal. And I was able to watch them filming Robin and the Seven Hoods with Frank Sinatra and the gang.
Wow.
You know, and I was talking to people. They talked about Jimmy Dean. They talked about the battling Bogarts, but it was the name of his wife that he had before he married Betty Bacall. I mean, in other words, what I'm saying is the icons on the Warner Brothers lot in 1963. Nobody remembers any of them now. I mean, I guess they remember Bogey, but not very well. I mean, I was to a horror convention. A girl was walking around with a T-shirt of Ingrid Bergman from, I think, Going My Way, and I was like amazed that she would have that. And I said, "Do you know who that is?" She had no clue.
She was being ironic. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, Ingrid Bergman was the biggest female star in the world in the late 30s, 40s, and into the 50s.
Yeah.
So in other words, whoever we think is huge today, give it 30 or 40 years, including me.
Josh Collette 9341 said, "I adore your work, and so many of your films have played a huge part in my life. One of my favorite films, not only that you have made, but ever, is The Langoliers. I would love for you to tell any stories you can, thinking of the making of it. Best wishes, Josh."
Oh boy. Well, thank you very much for that, because that's one of those. It was a huge amount of work. It was 4-hour miniseries, I think, for ABC, and it was just off of a Stephen King novella, which I thought was excellent. And that feels like it got very good ratings, but that feels like it's been forgotten. That would be like 1993.
I think it suffers from the visual effects, for, the dated visual effects, which was unfortunately at the time the best there was. But a lot of those movies from the 90s, I feel, kind of suffer from those early CGI effects.
That was just when it was coming in.
Yeah.
And the effects crew was led by a terrific guy called Tom Barham. I don't know what's happened to him, but I was in the meeting with the producers of Laurel Entertainment, and he wanted another couple of days to continue the rendering in the computers, so he would dirty up the Langoliers so they would fit better against the plates that have been shot of the Langoliers destroying the airport and coming down the hill and everything, and they would not spend the money. And the money was very, very little, but they didn't give it. They didn't give a good goddamn. So I don't know how you fight that, because I've dealt with it all my life. I mean, what happens is whatever the job is that you're doing and you care about so much, the producers are looking at the next job.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, Langoliers had a phenomenal cast. It had an ensemble cast, and David Morris and Pat Wedig and everybody in it. And I was able to rehearse that. And we shot that at a live airport, the Bangor International Airport, which of course was supposed to be totally empty. And that's at the height of the tourist season, when all Bob Iger comes in, and they introduced me before Bob. I guess he was head of Disney then, but he's on his way to his yacht. And that's when I realized that in August, at a certain time of year, all these bigwigs go to the Gold Coast of Maine and get in their yachts and go out to certain islands, which I guess they own, and they have big meetings, these huge corporations.
Huh.
Yeah.
About These
Well,
meetings
about how to screw the writers and directors.
hence a strike right now.
Let's see. Horror Views wanted to know, can you ask Tom how he feels about the Fright Night remake as a whole and the casting of Anton Yelchin and Colin Farrell? I personally love both films and the direction he took with the story in the remake. I thought the casting was excellent. CGI is the only real downfall, and missing the original's amazing practical effects. That's a mouthful, but
Well,
Yeah.
not bad. No, I did not like it, the remake.
neither did
And
Neither
that's
did I.
well, because and I blame that on the writer.
Hmm.
Some woman wrote it who was a favorite of Steven Spielberg's. But all the affection is gone, all the humor is gone, and it felt like a generic Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode of TV to me,
Mhm.
because she killed Peter Vincent. She turned him in. She was not into a horror host, but into a magician in Las Vegas.
Mm.
And I mean, my Fright Night is a love letter. Look, we're all fans. I'm a fan.
Mhm.
Chris, Sean, none of us would be here if we
Right.
weren't mad fans at some time when we were 10, 15, 11, 12, whatever. And that was what Fright Night was. And the remake had none of that love. It just it was cold.
Yeah.
Agreed. Was it Frolin?
And that's not a comment on the actors. I thought all the actors in the remake were terrific.
Right.
You know, the one who got really screwed was the guy who played you just mentioned him, the Irishman.
Oh, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell really got limited by that, because if he'd had the original Fright Night script, he could have really kicked butt with that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Frolin Beth said, can you ask him if there were any alternate endings to Psycho 2?
No, but we were filming it, and I was there in and out on a lot of the filming because I was also working already on Cloak and Dagger. I had the movie originally ending with the real mother, Mrs. Loomis, having a cup of tea with strychnine in it and gagging and dying at the table. And Richard and I looked at that as we were shooting, I think, or maybe we thought about it, or he thought about it before. It didn't have a punch. It wasn't like a terrific, it wasn't like the cherry on top of the sundae, you know? And we both knew it, and neither of us knew what to do. And I don't know, because I've read his memoirs now, and it's in the Psycho 2 book I'm doing. He says he came up with the idea of him hitting her with something, but I came up with the idea of putting the shovel in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really remember, but it turned into a hell of an ending.
Yeah.
You know, because if you watch that film with an audience, the entire audience fell off their seats, fell off their chairs when that happened. It's the same. I had the same effect in Child's Play when Chucky stabs Chris Sarandon's driving the car, and Chucky puts the knife up between his legs, you know, and almost gelds him, and every man in the audience, ah! But the entire audience, both sexes in Psycho 2, were stunned by the unexpected violence of the ending, which was
Great
like
moment.
that and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A good friend of the show, goes by the Ever Scathed, would like to know, was there ever a thought out backstory for the woman in the painting that so closely resembles Amy that Jerry just had to have her? Was there ever a backstory to her?
Yes, there was, that I had agreed on with Chris. Chris felt that Jerry needed to see something redeeming or good along with the bad, beyond his devilish, you know, sense of humor. And I said, he's just falling in love with Mina Harker. And that's who Amy is. She's Mina Harker reborn, and that's the photo that Jerry kept in his study of his first love. Now, maybe it isn't Mina Harker, but that was the intent, and that's the story behind it. But I believe that Godfather, the director, did Coppola did Dracula.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he used it then, but that was like, I don't know, 10 years after Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there first. But that was the idea. And I'm writing a series of books on Fright Night. The first one, Fright Night Origins, came out last Halloween. I'm trying for the sequel, Aftermath, to get it out this Halloween. And much to my amazement and great pleasure, it's sold like hotcakes. But I'm going to go into Jerry Dandridge's real past. I'm going to go back to like 1600.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, and I'm also going to do Evil Ed in San Francisco, which should be interesting.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be really great.
So I mean, what's happening to me is I'm working harder than I've worked in years, and of course I'm terrified because when I have my 80, you can't deny that 80 is old. Well, yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, yes and no. I think it's all where you're at, where your mind is at, and what you're doing with it. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm working now to produce as much as I can of quality as quickly as I can. I'll tell you. The other thing that there's another old saw. I should probably go to your question, Sean. I don't want to make this any longer than you have, but there's the old saw that once you're past 50, you're never going to do anything really original and creative again because older people don't do that. And I'd like hell to prove them wrong.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
The next question is from Fantastic Tilly. Said to preface, I recently purchased your autographed Psycho 2 screenplay and absolutely loved it. As a diehard Tilly fan, do you have any Meg Tilly stories from the Psycho 2 set? And do you think she captured the Mary that you had initially written for the screen?
Yes, she did. I thought she had an innocence and a youthfulness that Tony would feel safe inviting her back to the house. And we looked at other actors, including Carrie Fisher, including Janet Leigh's daughter.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis? Jamie
Lee Curtis came in.
Oh, wow.
She'd been in Road Games for Richard just before that. Yeah. And she was trying to get, she didn't want to be typed in the genre at that moment in time. But she was too knowing. So was Carrie Fisher was more sophisticated than any woman I've ever met. She was, whatever was going on there, she really, yeah.
Definitely couldn't see Carrie Fisher in that role.
No, you couldn't. Tony would have never believed she was an innocent.
Yeah.
But Meg Tilly had that. And Meg Tilly was really, really nice. And Meg Tilly said, she didn't understand why everybody was treating Tony Perkins like the star of the movie. I mean, that's how innocent she was.
Yeah.
And Richard in his memoirs said that she told him she'd never seen Psycho, which I find hard to believe. You'd think if you got a part in the movie, you'd look at the original, but what do I know? Right. So yeah, I thought she was great. And I don't know why she didn't keep working. I really don't know.
I think it was by choice. I think.
Oh yeah, by choice. Yeah. Well, I think she married some rich guys.
That'll help.
That helps.
Let's see here. I want to get some good ones. We got a lot, so I'm gonna have to skip some. So, okay. Let's go with let's see. The classically deceased 1292 said, "What was it like working?" Well, now I don't even know if you were on set for this because you just wrote it, but he said, "What was it like working with a young Michael J. Fox on Class of 1984? Also, was there any actor that was difficult or hard to control during the making of a movie?
I was not there. It was a Canadian tax shelter deal. And God forbid they'd ever spend the money to fly me up to Canada. I think it was in Vancouver, I think.
No, Toronto. I was
Toronto?
just
Okay.
at all those locations. I got an episode.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you blew me away when I saw what you'd done with Child's Play to the location in the Brewster building. That was amazing. Anyway, so I wasn't there, but I thought the film was just dramatically terrific. And I have a feeling it was because of the actors in it. And one of them has become a big director, I think, a big TV director.
Yeah. Van Patten.
Van Patten.
Timothy Van Patten.
I mean, so there was something going on there that made that work. I'm friends with Mark Lester, or at least have friendly relationships with him, and I like him a lot. But that, I think, dramatically is by far the best movie he's ever done.
Agreed.
And
Love
so, yeah, so somehow those actors got together and made that movie work and did just a terrific job.
And Roddy McDowell, of course.
Well,
did you have any involvement with getting him in that?
No,
that was pre-Fright Night, huh?
Yes, but because he'd been so terrific in that, going to tears when he was reacting to the kids killing all. He was the biology teacher killing all of his pet animals in his classroom, and he brought me to tears. So when he came in and told me how he envisioned Peter Vincent, I knew he could do both sides of it. Yeah. I knew he could do the humor, but I also knew he could be moving.
Yeah, he's great in that movie.
He wanted to do Fright Night 3, and he had me set up with an interview with that guy Mendez, who somehow got the rights when Herb Jaffe's company went bankrupt for Fright Night. And that was just before we went. He told me he was the worst human being he'd ever met in Hollywood. And just before we went in for the meeting, his kids killed him and his wife.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, the Mendez brothers.
The Mendez brothers.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And from what Roddy said, I believe them when they talked about sexual abuse by the father. Apparently, if Roddy said he was that horrible, he was that horrible.
Wow. This is a cool question. At MD Smith Comics said, "Do you have any good anecdotes or memories from filming The Incredible Hulk?"
Oh my God.
And as someone who appeared in the show as an actor and has become a director, any interest in doing a Hulk movie with a horror angle? That one's a little reaching, but go ahead.
Well, I remember it being a lot of fun. I mean, I did in the years, I decided that I wanted to get out of acting and I wanted to get into directing. And the way to do it at that time, I was in the actor's studio from 1968 to about 72 or 3. And I was seeing it happen all around me with people like Jim Bridges. And I can't remember who else was with all the people that were there. And they were doing it through original screenplays. That was a moment in time when Hollywood got confused about what was, because of Easy Rider, got confused about what to do for the younger audience, which were then the boomers. And the door was open for original screenplays, unlike the last 20 or 30 years, so you had a lot of fresh blood coming in, and I got very, very lucky. I mean, I thought, in some ways, I've done terrible things and gotten killed, in terms of politics. And in other ways, I'm talking about on the executive suites. And in other ways, I've had wonderful, wonderful things happen, which are almost accidental, but it's been a real mix. I suppose everybody feels like that.
Dangertainment 977 wants to know, he has 2 questions. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the Chucky series since you started it all? And number 2, how was your experience working on Hatchet 2?
Well, Hatchet 2 was wonderful because of Adam Green and Joe Lynch. Those two. They're both great guys. The first Child's Play.
No, what are your thoughts on the series, the new TV series?
I don't want to touch that.
That's okay. Enough said.
I turned down Child's Play 2. Okay, but that tells you what I thought of the script. You know, I mean, if I had done it, you would have. If I'd done it, you would have continued with Karen Barkley and her son Andy, and gone into that. But I never would have. It's not. I'm into emotional thrillers, hopefully leavened by a bit of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So.
David Langhorn 43 wants to know, were the houses used in Fright Night, were they real houses, or was that a back lot? The houses
that was a back lot, and that was left over from Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Mm.
And
was
the
that
opening,
Universal?
yeah, they were still standing. The opening shot is partially a mat done by Richard Edlin on the left side of the frame, but the right side where the houses are, that was the back lot. Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Which studio?
Universal.
Disney.
Right? Oh, Disney.
Disney.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And I have the production stills to prove it.
Kevin Reynolds 4851 said, question for Tom, could you provide some insight into your script Crystal Tower and why it never made it to the screen?
Well, I had a deal with Korolko, and they were interested in putting it into production, and I kept rewriting it, trying to find the perfect script, because I'm finally neurotic and compulsive, and I was a fool. Because if I just said, let's make this script now, I would have gotten it done. Instead, by the time that I got to where I felt secure enough with it, they were having money flow problems, cash flow problems, and eventually drove them into bankruptcy.
Mm.
Okay.
There was a lovely woman there then who was, and I can't remember her name now either, but who really helped me. I mean, it's, look, if those filmmakers that are out there, if it opens up, if that moment opens up because you've had a very, very recent success, make the movies. Don't go for perfection. Work out the problems while you're in production. That's how I feel now about that. Also, the other thing is, don't ever give up, any in-camera or physical effects in the movie, no matter how much they beat you up about going over budget. I'm referring, of course, to Child's Play, but I'm also referring to Thinner. I gave up the judge as the gill man sitting in the bathtub and did it as an acting scene instead, because whatever the production company was beating me up so bad about the money, because the fat suit was taking so much time. This is one of the first fat suits ever done. You work on those lights, and Robert John, you sweat, and when you begin to sweat, the edges and the fat suit lift up. So that was taking time.
Jason Fisher says, you've directed several TV anthology episodes, such as Amazing Stories and Tales from the Crypt, but my favorite is your Masters of Horror episode, We All Scream for Ice Cream. What are your memories of working on that production? Well,
I was introduced to William Forsythe, who's a brilliant actor. And I mean, I can't say enough about him as an actor. And he was the one who said he wanted to do Emmett Kelly with the brain damaged clown that he was portraying. And I should have listened to him, because it would have made it even more moving. Anyway, it was a terrific experience. Mick Garris produced that, and it was just lovely. I had David Scow who wrote the episode. No, I mean, all the actors. I've been blessed with good actors. I really have. I've been blessed with some screaming A's, too. I've run into those star system things,
Yeah.
But usually, if you can get to them about the character and the work, you can get beyond the BS. they haven't become that successful unless they're very, very good and on some level, they care as much about the character as you do. And so I've been very lucky that way, I think. William Forsythe is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean,
saw him this weekend. He was in Houston at the Houston Horror Film Festival. We didn't speak this weekend, but I saw him. He was at the show.
Well, he can be a handful. I did something called Twisted Tales where we ran out of money. I was doing it for FearNet, and then I wrote and directed them, but we ended up, without any money and all the rest of it. So some of them are pretty ragged, but 4 or 5 of them are really good, and Williams in one of them. And we got into a fight there. Anyway, yeah, he's challenging, but boy, he's brilliant.
I mean, he's been a good friend for years. I've always had a great relationship with him, but I recently heard he was pissed at me because I badmouthed his current agent, who's a piece of shit. And so I don't. And so I noticed him kind of giving me some dirty looks this weekend, so I just stayed away from him. But hey, I'll be honest, if you watch this, Bill, I love you. I think no different of you. I'm sorry, you got a crappy agent.
Well, I had him on one of the Twisted Tales, and I wanted to shoot. I wanted him to stand up on the sidewalk so I could shoot up, and it was at night, and I would see all the lights of the Sunset Strip behind him, which gave a lot of production value and depth of frame. And he insisted on laying flat on the sidewalk so I could only shoot like this. I
do think he's an amazing actor. I loved his performance on Boardwalk Empire. I thought he was amazing on that. If you saw that. I think directed by Timothy Van Patten from Class 1984.
There you go. I'll give you another one. He's the fat, out of shape, game-playing geek in Cloak and Dagger. And totally unrecognizable, and he gained like 30 pounds to do it.
Wow. Yeah,
and that's when he was really young, when he was a kid.
Yeah. No, he's not bad in anything. I mean, really, to be honest with you, he's one of those guys. Any project he does, he takes it to another level. I think. Yeah. So.
No, I think so too. But then Chris Sarandon can do that too.
Yeah.
And Chris Sarandon's personality is even. So when everybody else is losing their mind around the set, including me, he's like a touchstone.
Yeah. Frank Riker wants to know, is it true that Richard Franklin commented to Dean Cundy that Hitchcock would have loved his direction of photography in Psycho 2? Do you know anything about that?
No, but I remember long discussions about whether Richard wanted to shoot Psycho 2 in black and white. And Universal would not allow that. And so he had long discussions with Dean, who was coming off here's Hollywood for you and how things change. Coming off a terrible failure directed by Carpenter called The Thing. Okay, I mean when that came out, that was savaged. Yeah. And now it's become a classic, know. But Dean Cundy at that moment in time, I remember him and Richard, and I was working in the office with Richard. I remember a number of meetings discussing how to make color look like black and white with Dean Cundy, because Richard wasn't about ready to give up that high contrast, scary look that came with black and white. The reason that Hitchcock didn't do it in Psycho was he thought it would be too gory if you really saw the red blood, red. But Richard, I thought Dean Cundy did a beautiful job, shooting Psycho 2.
Absolutely.
But that was because they were Richard was in love with Night of the Hunter, which was black and white. If you remember that at all, that's where love and hate on the knuckles of the hands. And so what he was trying to do was get the feeling of high contrast, which is how most horror movies in black and white were shot, noir, and try to get that with the color in Psycho 2, because Richard was doing so many overhead shots, which are reminiscent of Hitchcock. Right. And I thought it looked great.
Yeah, it does look great. Dean Cundy's amazing.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joan Searfoss wants to know, what is your favorite prop that you have kept from any of your films? I know what my favorite that you own is, so I've been to your house and seen them.
The
But
bat.
yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, me too. The bat. The bat. My wife said she didn't marry me to have her living room turned into a horror museum. But if she hadn't said that, I would have extended the bat's wings, which are about 5.5 feet from tip to tip, and I would have flown it from the rafter right over the top of the living room. But she won't let me do that.
Well,
Yeah,
you
the
know
bat.
what? I agree with her, and I think you should just let me buy them from you, and let's make her happy. Come on.
Funny.
Let's see here. Boy, this is a long one. I'm gonna read it because this guy put in time. This is at Stuart Stafford. Question for Tom Holland. Original psycho novelist Robert Bloch wrote a film called Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford, where she's an axe murderess released from a mental asylum after being locked up for years. She faces challenges, to say the least, and people try to drive her crazy to turn her back into an axe murderess of old. Was this an inspiration for Psycho 2 in any way? It's interesting to think what Hitchcock would have done with Psycho 2 if he had directed it in 75. It's very sympathetic to Norman Bates with a killer score by Jerry Goldsmith. And I love Dean Cundy's photography. So I guess he's asking if the Straight Jacket had any influence on the story.
I have never heard of Straight Jacket before.
Oh, well, there you go.
Or if I've heard of it, I've forgotten it. But no, it had nothing to do with it at all.
I've seen Straight Jacket. I can't see any correlation there at all.
Well, I guess just the trying to drive her crazy.
Yeah.
That's Gaslighting and Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer.
Yeah.
Anthony Watt wants to know, was Anthony Perkins a method actor in between takes on Psycho 2? Did he stay kind of in character?
No, but he was Norman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a terribly, terribly nice man, and his wife was lovely. I went over there, I think, with Richard for dinner one night to their house, and then we went out to the Ivy one night too, I remember. And he was just lovely, but I never lost the feeling that he was Norman. You know, I mean, and I've always meant to ask Chris Sarandon about it, because way back in the 70s, Chris shared an apartment or lived downstairs in their townhouse in New York City with Tony and Tony's wife. And he couldn't believe that I'd ever be nervous around Tony. But if Tony was raging, which on occasion he did, throwing a fit, it scared me. You know, yeah.
Let's see. Epic Jason X said, do you have any interesting or funny stories you can tell about shooting in Chicago on the original Child's Play, which is the best in the entire franchise, in my opinion? That's from Epic.
Well, thank you. It's the best in the entire franchise, in my opinion, too, because it started it all.
Yeah.
It defined Charles Lee Ray. Funny stories? I don't know about that, but it was so cold. Words fail me. I remember standing up on the bridge over the Chicago River in the middle of the night, and the wind was blowing so hard that I could lean forward like this, and the wind held me erect. And I mean, it was bitter cold, and I chose Chicago because I knew it, because I'd gone to Northwestern. But I think somehow how cold it was escaped my mind before I got into it. You know, I mean, it was physically demanding. You had to take the cameras. We had multiple cameras, and you would have to take the camera that you were using and put it back into the camera truck to keep it warm, because otherwise the oil inside it froze. So we had like 3 or 4 cameras we were constantly changing over because it was so cold out. Everybody had full body suits like you have when you're working at the airport outside, and we had heat packs and on and on and on. It was because of that.
Man.
But at the same time, Chicago gives a hell of a look.
Yeah.
Or gave a great look. And that Brewster building, you know, that you shot when you went back to the locations is a marvel of
Yeah.
architecture. I got 1920s, 1919, I forget when.
I love that elevator too.
Well, didn't it? And
Yeah.
shooting up with the glass floors,
Yeah.
with the floors, the marble glass. I mean, it gave me so much of a look. And that's John DeCure Sr. John DeCure was the production designer, he and his son, Junior, on Fright Night. And then John Sr. went and scoped out Chicago for me and took me, and I met him there, and we looked at these great background locations. So when you're shooting, somebody behind them are all these buildings or the river or whatever. And he was John DeCure, for anybody who doesn't know. He was Daryl Zanuck's production designer on everything from Cleopatra to King and I to, you know, the guy, the painting on the roof of the Sistine Chapel. Brilliant. That was Shel Schrager. Shel Schrager at Columbia was the head of production, and he gave me the crew from Ghostbusters, and he also gave me John DeCure, who was the production designer on Ghostbusters. And if I hadn't had talent at that level, Fright Night would never have been what it is or look like what it is. You know, I mean, that's why you need luck.
Yeah.
Finally, you need to be blessed with a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
This is a fun question. Horror Dude 8673 wants to know if you have any get off my lawns. Now, so we have a segment on our show called Get Off My Lawn, where we basically just complain about things that bother us. Like, for example, I hate paper straws. They drive me crazy. I hate that places won't take cash anymore and they've gone cashless. Things like that just drive me nuts. Do you have?
I hate that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know they're going to end up controlling all. They're going to end up controlling all the money. They're going to outlaw paper money.
Where you're at and what you're buying. Yeah.
It's all going to go digital.
Yeah.
I mean, all I feel around me is the world closing in on all of us. I couldn't be more scared than I am right now, and it's got nothing to do with horror movies. It's just this worry about the world and my country and all of us.
Yeah, no, it's. I was just talking to Chris about it. He was kind of unaware of the rash of shoplifting and the things that's been going on lately. It's insane.
You see what happened in Nordstrom's?
Yeah, I was just telling him about it. Yeah. Like a mob of 20 people all masked and, you know, run in and just start taking everything and nobody's stopping them. And they're just destroying stuff. It's crazy. I was telling them I went to my grocery store last night and they had a whole section kind of barricaded off. And I was like, you know, and I live in, you know, a very suburban, nice area. And I asked him, I said, are you guys dealing with shoplifting? Is that what this is about? And he said, yeah, it's crazy. He said, it's crazy. In my neighborhood, I couldn't believe it.
Well, look, if you don't have to, yes, it's getting progressively more dangerous out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you notice that big black dog I had, that big black German Shepherd, Finian?
Yeah.
Well, I've been broken into twice by homeless.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, the first time the guy was a zombie, trying to get to after the Sepulveda Basin fire with the homeless, I guess like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the gardeners were taking out the brush for the cutting for the fire season, and the gate was open. And halfway up, a woman was sitting next to a pile of dead brush, smoking a crack pipe.
Wow.
And neither the guy nor the woman they were like zombies. They were so mentally gone.
Right.
And that's scary. You know?
Well, the homeless encampments are just nuts right now.
Yeah.
It's
it just gets worse and worse. But I mean, it's more personal stuff, and we can talk about it. But I'm getting out of here at some point.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have been here since 1966 or 67.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was the Garden of Eden here when we arrived.
Yeah.
She's from Brooklyn and I'm from mid-state. I'm from a small town across from Poughkeepsie.
Right.
Oh God, I mean, so this was California, LA was wonderful,
Yeah.
and now
I'm thinking of leaving Los Angeles too. It's I used to love it here. I love California and I loved it here. And now I'm considering moving back east or something, you know.
well, I can understand it. I mean, because I'm thinking the same thing. The taxes are so. I don't know if you put this in or not, but the taxes are so onerous here now.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything. I mean, I went out for an egg and sandwich for breakfast the other day, with some bacon. It cost me $19 without the tip.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. Get off my lawn with your egg sandwich.
Your $19 egg sandwich.
That's exactly what we go on a lot deeper rants than that, believe me.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close to the end here. Got a couple more. Joker 520 said, could you ask Tom about shooting a gun loaded with blanks at David Kirshner on the set of Child's Play 2 and eventually getting fired and replaced for reshoots because the original test screenings were bad? Any truth to either of those stories, and is that why he wasn't included on any of the bonus features on the new release?
None of it's true.
None of it's true? Okay.
No, I mean
There you go.
the only time I fired a gun was at the very end when the last scene where Catherine, blows the arm and the head off of the doll, and then finally she shoots the heart out and kills the doll.
Yeah, that's a lot of rumors right there.
No, I
That
mean,
is.
what was the tension between Kirshner and I? I was making a great movie. Kirshner was making an advertisement for merchandise.
Yeah.
Right.
Richie 7782 said he loves it when Chris and I talk about the band Kiss. He wants to know if you were ever a fan of the band Kiss.
Well, not only was I a fan, I spent at one period, what's his name? Gene Simmons sent me a script that I liked, and we met, and he lived above me on Benedict Canyon, and in a house that now has been totally redone. But Gene, I'd never met anybody who was so interested in money as Gene Simmons was. Okay. And then we went and we would have coffee over at the Glen Center at the top of Beverly Glen and Holland.
Yeah.
And the minute we started to talk about music, especially music from the 50s and 60s, Gene Simmons turned into a mad fan. Gene Simmons is a fan of the rock and roll from Bill Haley and Rock Around the Clock all the way up and all the way. He knew every song, every singer, and he knew a lot of the lyrics. And I sat there with my mouth falling open. In other words, his love for it had nothing to do with money. It was his love for the music itself. But then when it came to, because at that point, Kiss had been around for 20 years. This must have been in probably the early 2000s. He was interested at that point. I think one foot maybe was out the door, and he was interested in money.
Yeah. I know he's a big classic horror fan too.
Yeah.
The classic, like, Universal stuff and all that.
Well, I met him first when he came in with the guitarist, and he was pitching the guitarist to do the score for Fatal Beauty. And that's when I met him the first time. And then he got hold of me, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years later about a script that he had with Edgar Allan Poe doing a mystery, trying to solve a horror murder. And I thought it was really interesting, and we got to know each other really well. And then, of course, like everything else, you go to work on a job or whatever, and then it sort of goes away. You just don't have time. It takes a skill to keep relationships going long term in this business. It really does.
For sure.
Gary 5160 said, could you ask Tom about what became of the Tales from the Crypt episode King of the Road with Brad Pitt? I'd love to hear anything about its production or the soundtrack.
Well, the soundtrack was Warren Zevon, and he's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I became friends with him off of that. I mean, I
Mm.
can't tell you. I was doing that TV movie, The Within,
Mhm.
with Rick and Kate Jackson, and I couldn't be there to cast King of the Road, which was originally a pilot, a half-hour pilot, and the other half hour was Dick Superman.
Dick Donner.
Dick Donner. Dick Donner, by the way, was a wonderful, wonderful man and a supporter of mine. And I cannot speak highly enough
Yeah,
about him.
I'm a huge fan of Richard Donner. Huge
Same
fan.
here.
Well, he was a
The
lot.
Omen. Come on.
He was from Poughkeepsie,
Oh wow,
and I'm from across the Hudson River, from Poughkeepsie, in a town called Holland, which is
Right.
like tiny. So neither one of us had any. There was no nepotism there, So he was very supportive. So anyway, so he asked me to split the pilot for Two-Fisted Tales, which was going to be the action adventure version of whatever it was,
Oh,
Tales of the Crypt.
Tales
of the Crypt.
Yeah.
And then what happened is, I thought his show was great, and I thought mine was great. And I was looking, I couldn't be there for casting, and they were sending me videos. And all of a sudden, this video appears of this guy, and he must have been like, I don't know, 25, 6, 7 at the time. And he had a magnetic smile. I can't explain charisma on film, but some people have it, and this guy did. And that guy, I cast him as the lead in the Two-Fisted Tales, and it was Brad Pitt. And I think I gave him one of his first jobs. And he was terrific. And I watched him working, and I watched the way the women around him were reacting, including the script supervisor. We used to call them script girls.
Mhm.
And you could just see when he smiled, their hearts started to melt. And I said, light the girl, but light him as well as the girl.
Mhm.
I mean, it was so obvious. And then I went and I showed it to my then agent at the time, who begged me never to use his name in the story, so I won't. But I said, you gotta represent this guy. He's going to be a huge movie star. And the agent says, nobody knows who he is. That's too much work. That's Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. We got down to our last two. All right. So this is Horrorholic 2 said, when you directed Child's Play, were there different designs for Chucky before settling on the final Chucky doll we all know and love?
My memory is that I used the My Buddy doll,
Mhm.
that then was hugely popular, and Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy. I wanted the colors to be reminiscent of those outfits. And I needed a doll to go from the one in the box. I have a couple in my hallway, screen used. And I needed a face that you could put in a television commercial, which I used to start the movie with. The little Andy sees it on TV.
Mhm.
And then I needed a face that go from this to that,
Yeah.
and I needed to see the transition. And this is a longer question than you have time for, because it became a huge amount of work trying to do it. Because look, I built the set about 4 or 5 feet off the floor down in Culver City, in the old Greenwich Studios. And the puppeteers, and there were 11 or 12 of them. You can see it I have a book out that you can find on terrortime.shop or on Amazon, called Child's Play, a visual memoir. And you can look at those. That isn't serious in the way the Psycho 2 book is.
Mhm.
But you can look at you can see how difficult it physically was to do that.
Yeah.
The puppeteers were underneath the stage with all the wires run up behind the doll. I'd shoot the doll head on. The wires would come up under stage, and you couldn't see them, because I had to have those shots, which were, hey, look, Mom, no hands, in order to sell that the doll was really ambulatory. And it was a very, very difficult, because the guys down below, the puppeteers, were on TV screens. And in those days, they didn't have a way to make the TV screen look like it did to the cameraman's eye or my eye. By that I mean is if the camera, if I was watching it and the doll used his left hand, down below, the puppeteers were seeing the doll use his right hand. They flipped it. And
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought there was, they were cathode ray TVs. So it was a huge technical achievement.
Yeah.
And I mean, my memory of Child's Play was a hit from when I first saw it, because the visual set pieces, the sequences, work like dynamite with the audience every time. So it was a matter of just tightening it up, and you could see every time everything getting better.
Do you think you went through a lot of, do you remember looking at a lot of different designs for Chucky, meaning going through one design doesn't work, another design doesn't work. Did you go through a lot of that?
No, but it couldn't be too close to the My Buddy doll.
Right.
I think Chucky was initially named Buddy.
Right.
My Blood Buddy was the name of the original script that I think Kirshner wrote. But you couldn't use it because of the success of the My Buddy doll.
Right.
And I came up with the idea of putting Charles Lee Ray, the Lakeshore Strangler, inside the doll, which is the opening of the movie. It's literally the first scene. The fight with Chris Sarandon, the gunfight, and Charles Lee Ray, Brad Dourif. And Brad Dourif had been the heavy for me in Fatal Beauty directly before that. So I knew how great he was. And he had that voice. And that told the audience that doll was deadly, okay, in the first 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. But the people in the film, the mother's friend, the babysitter, the little boy, nobody else knew it except you and the audience. Okay, this is a classic Hitchcockian suspense setup, which is to say, you put the bomb underneath the table and you light it, and then you wait, and the audience knows it's under there, but the people eating at the table don't.
Right.
And that's the same thing I did with Child's Play, with my script of Child's Play.
That's great.
Classic. All right. Last question.
That, to go back to it, Chris, I took that moment, slow burn that out to about 50 pages into the script. And when that doll when she threatens to throw that doll in the fireplace, and the doll finally cops to the fact that it's alive and attacks her, it's one of the scariest movies in film at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire audience always screamed. That worked that worked great from the first cut on.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Let's see. Janie Nelson 1397 said, Tom, do you think we have passed through the age of great cinema? In my opinion, nowadays the quality is terrible. The great movies have come and gone. That's just this person's opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question.
Well, I'm prejudiced, since I lived through what she's referring to as the great age of cinema. What's happened is they've cut out the mid list, and they cut that means the not the very, very cheap genre movies like horror, but like just sort of the mid list of romances or comedies that didn't cost a fortune, but had a lot of variety. And they did the same thing to books in the 80s. If it is, that's why you get sequelized. Now you're dead with sequelizations. Hollywood went maybe 20, 25 years ago and decided to kill the movie star, because they were paying too much money for Arnold Schwarzenegger, 20, 22, 24 million. They decided, we don't need Arnold, we'll get a tent pole. So now you have everything is tent poles, and everything's the same. And if I see another Marvel movie, I am going to put a gun to my head.
So you mean, when you say get rid of the middle, you mean they used to make movies for you could make a movie for a moderate budget, and you'd have a lot of different varieties of what that budget could bring you, as opposed to now it's just super over budgeted giant movies, or you have indie super low budget movies, which you barely have that anymore. Actually, now it's mostly just the big stuff, and everything in between those mid-level budget movies are gone, and that went away, which took away your variety. Is that what you mean by that?
Exactly what I mean, Chris.
Yeah.
And it's all about reduction of risk in Hollywood's part.
Right.
And now they're taking it up the pants, because now when they have a bomb, it's 150, $170 million.
Mm-hmm. But then when they have a hit, they're making $1 billion. A good example is you look at Barbie right now. Well, I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you anything about it. But it's past $1 billion globally, that movie. But that same studio, which I can't remember, is it Warner Brothers? I think it's Warner Brothers. They have other flops, but those movies, this movie offsets this movie. It's all a numbers game now. Right. It doesn't matter if this one didn't do well. This one did super well, so they're,
Well, what I think Barbie caught the gestalt of the time.
Right.
I mean, that's a huge female film that's had, I don't know how many, 60, 70, 80 years of advertising to seep into the culture.
Right.
And at the same time, you turn around and you have Oppenheimer with a great director, and he shot it for IMAX, and stunning visually, but it's also character driven, or trying to be, and that's doing well.
Yeah.
So who the hell knows? But what happened in my time, our time, was that Stephen King came along. Not Stephen King. Steven Spielberg came along with Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden that made the summer blockbuster.
Right.
And then you started to have just those, coming out. And then that sort of topped out with E.T., which I think was before Fright Night, maybe 81 or 82, and made a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Then that started to, you had a great, it's only when they're lost and don't know what to do, which is that book that they did about the rolling whatever, that happened it happened with Easy Rider.
Raging Bulls and Easy Riders and Raging Bulls was the book.
But yeah, thank you. That's what it is, the book.
Mm-hmm.
But Easy Rider really made Hollywood lose faith in itself in terms of being able what to choose. And for those few minutes, and I was there for it, they threw open the doors to original scripts. And that was when, look, it used to be when I first came to town, every waiter and waitress was an aspiring actor. By the time that the late 80s were through, early 90s, every waiter and waitress had a script under their arm that they'd written. I mean, so these are the things that you go through. I don't know what's going to happen now, because we're in a war between cord cutting and streaming. And streaming is getting to the point where it's as expensive as having a cable subscription. So that now they're dying on the first they thought the stock price went up with subscription. So they spent the money to build up these subscriptions. And then all of a sudden they realized, or maybe they don't even realize, if you only introduce your movie on streaming, it goes away. Nobody knows what it is. So I still love movies. And by God, if you can get it released in a theater, then you have a chance to, and then let it go to streaming. But if you can get it introduced in a theater, you have a chance of being remembered at least for a little while.
Right. Do you still go to the movie theater?
I did before COVID, to be honest with you. Yes, I haven't. I didn't go for Barbarella, but I did for Oppenheimer.
Okay.
Because that's going to interest me more.
Yeah, I saw Oppenheimer too, which was good.
We're going to see it tomorrow. Yeah, we've been trying to. We've been gone so much, and I want to see it. The 70 millimeter. They have it. They have an IMAX 70 millimeter in Irvine, so we're going to go to that.
Well, that's what I did. I went over here. I think this to Universal City. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The business is in a real state of flux, and I don't think anybody's happy about it.
Right.
They can't. I mean, how much Disney's lost $1 billion with 4 or 5 films alone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's insane what's going on. They're going to bankrupt themselves, not just Disney, but the other companies too. And you can't. They had easy money with cable because you were paying a lot of money for a whole bunch of channels you never watched.
Mhm.
Okay, and now you're turning around. If just in the last couple of weeks, Disney's raised their prices. I think Netflix has. They're
Yeah.
all raising their prices. So now, if you put together 4 or 5 streaming channels, you might as well have cable.
Yeah.
Costing the same amount of money. And this is
Yeah.
going on with raging inflation at the same time. When I'm paying $19 for a breakfast sandwich, you know it's gotten out of control.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, the people can't afford this.
Yeah.
And salaries are not keeping up. Well, you got the strike, you got the actors and the writers out for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right. We all used to live in the hard in between times on residuals.
Yeah.
And now they cut out residuals. And I'm very bitter against SAG. I had lifetime health in SAG. I've been a member of SAG since 1961.
Wow.
Okay. And they cut out lifetime health about a year ago.
Oh, wow. Did they? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they did. And what was really valuable about that was you got $1,500 a year towards dental.
Right.
Okay. And I have lifetime health with the Writers Guild. So I had 3,000 towards dental. So the Writers Guild and Ed Asner said this was going to happen when they brought in AFTRA and they brought in the stand-ins and extras and everything, but they couldn't afford to keep up with healthcare anymore, so they just said goodbye to everybody that has worked their entire lives and was depending on the healthcare along with Medicare, and that's a hell of a financial blow. And then, of course, you have a terrific lawyer named Noel Johnson, something Johnson, who he sued him on a class action suit, for taking away the long-term health care, the retirement health care. And now, as opposed to the $5,000 that I had in benefits with lifetime health care, I get a check for $400 a year.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. And if I don't know if you guys know a lot of, I know a ton of actors because I've grown up with them. And acting quite often, if you're really good, maybe you'll have a run for 10 years.
Yeah.
But they're very, very, very few people like the major stars who go for an entire lifetime.
Right.
Very, very few. And so if anybody is really vulnerable and needs medical care, it's the actors, the writers too.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at only about half of 1% works.
Right. Well, also to all of the IATSE, all the workers on the movies, I'm one of those people that is affected by the strike and, haven't worked in over, 100 days. I have health care too, that I have to, all that stuff, that it affects, it trickles down. It affects everybody, in the movie industry.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Very hard. And we got into it, but the better question is, if we knew what we know now, would we do it again? If we were young, would we do it again?
I'd still do it. That's how stupid I am. I'd still do it.
I think I would have been tried writing novels a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But I did try writing novels when I couldn't do it. And then I found out I could write screenplays.
Right. Yeah.
And for whatever the reasons are, I've always sold my screenplays.
Yeah. Because you're good.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't.
We're good at it.
I don't really have an explanation for it.
Do you have imposter syndrome?
What syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. It's when you
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
No, because I've had. I mean, I really killed myself on Psycho 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working 24/7 for like 3 or 4 months. I mean, really giving it my all.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to read that book. Hurry up and finish that Psycho 2 book because I'll be the first guy to buy it, I swear.
Thank you very, very much, Chris.
You're welcome.
Well, I know I'll see Sean at Horrorhound in Indianapolis. Will I see you?
I'm not at that one.
Okay.
No, sadly.
Well, I think the way things are going, Sean, you should get me out on more big conventions. I mean, it's the only way to make any money now.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm getting the same call from everybody,
are.
especially right now.
Well, anyway, the questions were great from the fans. You guys both did a great job. Chris,
Thank you, sir.
You have a lovely quality.
Thank you,
You
sir.
know, and I love your workshop.
Oh, thank you.
And Sean, you have a hell of a collection there of guitars and a few heads. I don't know. I should show you all mine. I should have put them up more to see.
Well, I'll drop in some photos that I took when I took pictures of your stuff at your house. I'll put in some photos so people can see some of them.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've got Evil Ed making his transition, from wolf to boy.
And transition is very hot right now. It's very current.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you. Well played.
Well played.
Well, I'll see you this weekend. And thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Sean, how are you getting there?
By plane.
Are you flying out of John Wayne Airport?
Yeah. We leave Thursday morning, get in Thursday evening, coming back Monday.
That's what we're doing the same thing to get there, but we're making a connection in Dallas.
Oh yeah, I don't have a direct flight. Yeah, no, we have a layover in Houston, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, out of Orange County, it's very hard to get direct flights.
Well, I'm terrified of going to LAX.
Oh, I hate it.
I'm getting up at 5 o'clock on Thursday morning to make an 8:30.
Yeah.
You kind of have to at that airport.
LAX is brutal.
Anyway, fellas, I mean, this was terrific. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours.
No, flew by.
Flew by.
You're a delight. You're a delight to talk to. I could sit and talk to you for days about all this Hollywood horse shit. So
when I get the Psycho 2 book out and you read it, contact me through him and we'll talk.
I will. That sounds amazing. You got it.
Yeah. And thank you, because this has become more important.
Yeah.
It's become podcasts are a way of interacting and getting the word out to fans and the public. And you're not paying a publicist, or you don't have to be in the studio system to do it. And it's just great.
It's also a great way to document Hollywood history on so many levels, both modern and historic Hollywood history. It's important these stories are told and kept. You know what I mean?
I think that, and I kept telling Roddy, for God's sakes, please write your autobiography. And he kept saying, I can't, because I really do know where the bodies are buried.
And on that note,
real quick though, where can fans buy some of this stuff? Do you have a website where you're selling the novels and all this stuff?
Terrortime.shop.
I will put the link on the screen. Terrortime.shop.
Yes, and we're on Amazon too.
Okay.
But if you want them signed, you got to go through my store.
Okay, I'll put the link on the screen where people can find this stuff and buy signed copies and all the other goodies and stay on top of the new releases and whatnot.
Well, I'm just working now to this is all amazing. Look, I'm working very hard just trying to keep up with the demand.
It's a good problem to have.
Well, it's not that we're making any money, but I just got through putting all of our money into stuff to take to Horrorhound.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are saying, well, where's Fright Night? Where's Psycho 2? Well, it's because we put all of our money into what we're taking to,
So you guys got to come to Horrorhound, buy all that stuff so you can put that money back into those other things.
That's right.
It's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult, but I am learning to run a web business. I
Yeah.
had no idea. But at the same time, I'm working. All right. And I'm interested. And
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here going crazy with nothing to do.
That's right.
And big shout out to Jack, who helps you a great deal.
Jack Ulrich and my son Josh Holland, both of them. If I didn't have the two of them, I'd never be able to do any of this.
That's great.
And Sean, thank you. And Christopher, thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's
And
been
thank
an
the
honor.
fans for the terrific questions. God bless.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see you later, Tom.
See you later, alligator. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay.
So that was awesome, though. It really
That was
awesome.
awesome. We
It was-
needed that. We needed that for our show too.
It kind of woke us up too, because you
It
and me were
totally
a little. I knew once we started talking to Tom, we'd get a
Yeah.
second wind.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
He's great.
All right. Well, I hope you
All
guys
right.
enjoyed this episode. Tom Holland was freaking awesome.
He was awesome.
That guy is a gem.
Yeah, he is. And I could sit and listen to yet another. I could sit and listen to him talk forever. It's so. That's why I didn't say much of anything, because I was just like hanging on every word he said. So it was amazing.
Yeah, and he's a great he's a interviewer's dream, because he just goes. And that's great.
Yeah.
Anyhow, check out his website, go buy stuff, support Tom so he can keep putting out all this other cool stuff to document history and his films that need to be remembered and need to be celebrated.
Indeed.
So
Indeed. And be cool to each other. Be cool to each other out there.
yeah.
Thanks
Quit
for watching.
stealing
again.
stuff and quit.
Stop it.
Don't shoplift and don't be
Just-
homeless. Get a house.
Just stop it. Don't be homeless.
I was trying to solve the homeless problem. Don't be homeless.
Be cool, man.
Because all the homeless people probably watch this podcast.
That's right. All you got to do is do one thing in life, man. Don't be dicks to people. That's it. It's not that hard.
And
All
don't do meth.
Don't do that either.
Yeah, because that can lead to problems.
At least not on a regular basis.
Yeah, or the fentanyl. That's the hot thing right now.
The
Right?
fentanyl.
They're doing the
Yes.
fentanyl.
The fentanyl.
Yeah. Yep. Tom Holland says it's making zombies come to his house. He doesn't like it.
I don't want zombies at my house. So knock
None of
it
us
off.
want zombies at their houses.
That's right.
So anyway,
All right.
take care,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, just want to jump in here real quick to remind you, our shirt store is up online, tpublic.com/user/malfunction. Go there, we got a bunch of new things with we got a bunch of come check it out. We got a bunch of thing with two head designs, all kinds of designs, more designs you know what to do with, Horror's Hollow Grounds designs. There's Hollywood's Hollow Grounds designs. You can get mugs, you can get shirts, you can get stickers, you can get a onesie for a baby. You can get a notebook. You can get a throw rug. You can get pretty much anything you want. So get on there. tpublic.com/user/malfunction.
I'm gonna pee and go have
All
some
right.
lunch.
All right, buddy.
All right, pal.
All right, Chief.
Okay.
Good talking to you, Tiger.
Okay. I don't know. I love
Champ.
Champ.
Sport.
Yeah. Yes. No, you got a bunch of them.
I got them all.